Welcome to part 15 of the Enterprise Refit build-up. Made some good progress on this now. I've just got the job completed that I don't like doing, and that's all the wiring for the sequential landing bay lights. Took a little bit of time to get those done, and as you can see we've got a little bit of a spaghetti junction of wires down here. They do look a little bit messy at the moment, but that's only because I've got them all attached to one 10k resistor at the moment just to test them. As soon as I release them from that, they'll be fine. The leads are really long at the moment, and that's the main reason being is because they need to sort of snake their way down through the model, through the stand itself, and then into the base, and I'd rather have them too long than being too short. So that's why they're a bit too long at the moment. One of the other things that I need to do once I'm satisfied that these aren't going to blow is I just need to tidy up all the wires at the back and actually anchor them in to the bottom section of this, and that'll be that job done. The other job that I need to do as well once I'm happy with these is then just go back in on the underside to put the little lights in for the shuttle bay, or sorry, the shuttle pod stowage area, just to help light that up. These have now, I think, been burning in for a good sort of 4, maybe 5 hours, I guess, by now. So, you know, I'm just going to leave them for another sort of 2, maybe 3 hours, just to make sure that they're okay. And if they are okay, then I'll just be able to get those, as I say, get those lights in under the bottom, and then I'll be able to get this attached to the rest of the shuttle bay. Then I'll be able to get the sidewall put in too, and that will be a good milestone to get to. So hopefully, you know, keep your fingers crossed, no more little issues. I should be able to get that one done. So that's how that's looking. Let me just turn the lights off for you so you can actually see the progress on that. So there you go, that's what they're looking like now. For some reason it looks as though the red and the orange are both sort of shining up as the same colour there, which is a bit unfortunate, but the top one is red as it is on the other shuttle bay that I built, and also the next one down's are orange as well, just to the same basically as on the other shuttle bay too. So that's what they're looking like. Still not sure what size resistor I'm going to use. As I say, at the moment these are all hooked up to a 10k resistor. I might knock that back a little bit more, or I might increase it actually just to get the brightness down a bit. Not really sure yet. One of the other things that I also obviously need to do is on the back I need to light block, but again, not really going to bother doing that until such time that I'm satisfied that the that the SMDs aren't going to blow. So let me just get the lights back on again. So to do the light blocking, I'm using this stuff. I mean, this is metallic, so I brought this by mistake. It's the black metallic, but it's basically a tulip material dye. As I say, this one is a metallic black, but it doesn't really matter whether it's black or metallic black. If you wanted to, you could use a red one. Wouldn't really make any difference really, because you're still going to block the light from the SMDs. So as I say, once I'm happy with those being installed, I'll get those done, and that will help to finish those off. Made a little bit more progress on the upper section of the cross section as well. We've got that painted now in black. That's had 2 coats of black on there, and that's still looking pretty good actually, to be quite honest. Happy with that. So all I need to do now is just go in and paint that in white. And then I just need to really study the shuttle bay, not the shuttle bay, the engineering section of the ship, just to see what kind of colour the walls are. We'll need to put some bracing in there as well, but not quite sure where that will need to go yet. So again, just basically studying the drawings to get that. And I think what I'm going to do with this actually, once I've got this sort of the colour that I need it, I think what I'm going to do is actually put the bracing in first before I actually seal it back down again. the other thing I need to do as well is just cut this section out as well. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. As soon as I've got some more work done to this, I will come back to you. I had another issue with the cross-section shuttle bay. Nothing was fitting properly. Well, that's not strictly true. Things were fitting on their own, but not really together. The second and third deck, basically the cargo stowage area and the shuttle bay stowage area, those decks were fitting really well together, and within the kit itself. Top deck fitted quite nicely, and when you put the whole lot together on its own, it also fitted quite nicely. The only problems that, or the problems that I've been having really, is introducing all of those SMDs for the sequential landing bay lights. There's 20 wires basically coming off the back of that end that needs to be fed down underneath the whole of the new shuttle bay, and out through the bottom of the model. And that's causing a lot of issues at the moment, to be fair. Issues that I wasn't expecting, issues that I didn't think would actually pop up. I mean, to me it looked pretty simple, but obviously not. You know, so it's actually caused a bit of a setback, and whilst I was doing a lot of jiggy pokery to try and get everything all lined up and in and nice and neat and tidy, unfortunately I took my eye off the ball and snapped about 60% of those really thin wires on the SMDs. As a result, I've had to take off all of the SMDs from the bottom of the landing bay deck, and they all need to be redone, and I need to try and find a way of getting everything fitted in properly, to the point where there's no fit issues and everything looks nice and flush. The other little issue that I had as well is the landing bay wall doesn't actually fit flush up against the back wall here. There's about a 2mm gap all the way down, so I'm going to need to sort of redesign that end bit as well. So at the moment I'm kind of like getting frustrated with the whole thing, and it's getting to the point now where I just want to chuck the damn thing in the bin and, you know, just stamp all over it until there's nothing left of it. So I thought it'd be safer to actually put the thing down for a little while and then go back to it when I'm a bit more clear-headed and I can look at it a little bit more objectively and with a fresher mind. It will be finished, because, you know, this is the first scratch build for me, and I know that if I don't finish it, I'll never do, or I'll never attempt to do another scratch build again. It's something that I really do want to do, so, you know, it's imperative for me to actually get back to. So I think at the moment it's best if I just have a break from it, move on to another part of the whole build itself, and then go back to it a while later, and then hopefully I'll be able to sort through all of these little issues that I'm having more objectively, as I say, and with a clearer head. So with that in mind, I've decided that I'm going to work on the engineering hull for the ship itself. So I've got all of the little parts out for that I need. So I mean, really the first job for me is to give this a complete clean down, because all of the surfaces are so greasy, not just on the inside but also on the outside too. So we know that paint's not going to stick that well like that, so we just need to give that a really good clean down. The exterior surfaces as well, I'm going to give those a bit of a light sanding just to sort of key the surfaces slightly, so the paint on the outside has got a good sort of bond as well. You know, I think that's going to help with that. The other things that we need to do as well, obviously, before we start really putting the whole thing together, is getting all the little airlocks in place on both sides. We also need to get the holes drilled properly for the floodlights on the pylons, on the outside of the pylons, and then we also need to widen up the pylon holes here for the floodlights as well. Get those sorted out. Then following that, we need to get the arboretum, well, we need to light block the whole thing as well, actually, to be fair, on the inside, and also prime it in white paint. Needs to then get the whole thing together really, but we also need to get the arboretum and the shell bay in that we've got, that are already built, and they're just sitting there ready and waiting to go in. The other thing that we need to do really is the windows on both sides. That's photo etch. We've got some PGT plastic that we can use for the windows on there, so that's not quite so bad. Not really a lot of work that needs to be done to the bottom of this, to be fair, really. I don't think, anyway, at the moment, without looking at the plans. So yeah, I'm just going to carry on, get this done. If this takes me sort of like, you know, 4 or 5 weeks to do, then so be it. It'll give me a break from doing the other bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this done to the point where we've got the top coat on the outside and it's fully lacquered, and I'm ready basically for the Aztecing to go down. So as soon as I got it to that point where it's ready for the Aztecing, I'll then go back to the cross section and get that finished off, because then I can get that to the same point as this, and then I'll be able to get both engineering holes Aztecs. So hopefully that should give me enough time to actually calm down and not stamp on the cross section, really. That's the main aim of the game there, no stamping. So there you go. So I'm going to get some work done to this section, and as soon as that work's done, I will come back to you. So I managed to get some level of work done to this part of the kit. We've got the little air locks in place there. They were fairly easy to do, to be fair. And then we've also got the whole of the inside painted matte black to light block it. And again, on that side there, we got the little air lock in, which is great. We've also done the matte blacking on this. Just need to leave this now really to let it dry off properly before we put the white paint on. We've also got both of the windows in as well, and the light blocking done, as you can see. These windows were a little bit difficult actually to, well, not difficult, but I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to pick it up there or not. But on the edge there, there was a really big gap. Well, I say a really big gap, it was like 0.6 of a mil gap on each side at the end, where the photo etch parts weren't quite big enough to meet the end of the hole there. So what I ended up using was just a couple of little strips of this stuff, which is 0.3 mil by 0.5 mil, and then I just glued a couple of strips on to the end of that. Just let that dry off and then sand it back down again so it was nice and flush with a part, and then just used a little bit of masking tape to put over the outside of that, and then put the window in from the inside with just a little bit of super glue. So that's stayed in there now, and that's nice and flush. And then what I also did as well is I just needed to go around the edges of those just to sand them off a little bit to make sure that they was absolutely flush. And what I'll do once I've got a little bit more work done, I've got the inside light blocked, sorry, with the white paint in there, I'll just go around that edge there really with a little bit of putty, just to make sure that all the gaps are filled in properly. And then I'll just be able to spray a little bit of primer over that just to make sure that it's all level, and just give it a sand down again just to make sure it is, or just plonk a little bit more putty in and then sand it down again. So there's a little bit of progress there, which is quite good. Going well so far, keeping fingers crossed that we're not going to get any major issues with this. But yeah, so just let all this paint dry off, and then tomorrow I'll be able to get all the white paint on board. I'll then be able to temporarily put this thing together, just using tape really, so I can make sure that we've got the angle of those lights in properly as well. And again with that one as well, most probably just put the pylons in place as well temporarily, just to make sure that we can get the light going up the pylons properly, and then we can get the bulbs glued in place from there. So that's about it. I will come back to you as soon as I've got a little bit more work done to this. So I managed to get a bit more work done to this engineering section. So we've got the 2 coats of black down now for the light blocking. We've also got 2 coats of the white down as well for the light reflection on the inside. There's a couple of things left that I need to do to this particular part here. Need to basically sand down these parts on this side here in order to fit the arboretum in. The reason I need to do that is because I have actually lowered the pond itself, so it no longer fits flush up against that. So I just need to take that down a little bit. It doesn't really matter how far I take that down, really, to be quite honest, because it will end up resting on those pins anyway. So that's not too bad. Plus the fact I also need to get a couple of, or one maybe two, flickering LEDs in this part here as well. Those wires can actually be run out through there to the pole itself. There is also on this particular part here a light source that goes in for the beacon light. So I need to get that in. I'm not sure whether you can actually see that there or not. There you go, there it is. So we need to get something in there for that. The other thing that we need to look at doing as well is getting some light brought down to these areas for these little windows on the outside. Also got a part that needs to go sort of like at the end there, but on the outside. We also need to get the SMDs in place. I think it's 3mm that I'm going to be using on there. I'm not sure really at the moment. I just need to check that. We've also got the holes there as well for the floodlights to go on the outside of the pylons. Again, not sure really what type of SMDs I'm going to be using on that. But once we've got those jobs done, we can actually get the sidewalls in place. Once the sidewalls are in place, I'll then be able to get the lighting strips in on either side. And then I'll also be able to get the fan tail on the back of this as well, with the top. One of the things I'm going to also need to do is cut this peg off here so I can actually slide the shuttle bay in. I will need to modify the bottom of the shuttle bay as well, just to help get that in at the back end there properly. But yeah, this is coming along quite nicely. Happy with the progress on this. Nothing really serious. Nothing seriously wrong has gone wrong with this so far, so that's always good news. I have putted these once already. Obviously I can't really do any more work to these until the walls are in, because we got this part of the wall here that will then just butt up against this part here, so that seam will need to be putted as well. Once I've got the windows in place, what I'm also going to do, or once I've got the plastic in place for the windows, I'm going to make some templates for masking tape for the windows in there, so I can just put the masking tape over those for when I'm spraying. That'll just help keep them safe. But that's about it for the moment. As soon as I've got some more work done to this, I will come back to you to get a little bit more work done to the kit now. I've had a bit of a struggle getting the wings on. All of the hooks on the inside were really sort of too big, so it was just a case of sort of sanding them down to the point where it would allow me to get the pylons in and get the top lid on properly as well. Still a few gaps in there at the moment because it will need clamping down when I glue it all the way around. And there will need to be some putty work being done to it as well, but apart from that, it's not looking too bad. I've also got the holes there and also there drilled out for the lights that go up the side, and those ones there are big enough as they are anyway, so I don't need to make any alterations to those. So we'll be able to get the light flowing up the sort of inside and the outside of the warp drive there, the pylon, sorry. And as you can see, we've still got the little photo wedge windows in there. These are a little bit tricky actually, because I keep on going to pick the thing up from this end, and this one has actually sprung out a couple of times due to that, but never mind, that's fine. Next thing for me to do really on this now is, now I know that I've got these right, I can actually take this apart again, take the roof off, get the strips of LED down the inside there, and also get the lights in place as well for the the navigation lights that go in the bottom. They're all anti-collision lights really. And as you can most probably see in there, we've made the alterations there to the side. That's just purely to get the arboretum in where I've made the pond slightly deeper. We've had to put those, we've had to take those bits out really to get that in there. So you know, but apart from that, it's not too bad. And this, I think, is going to be a little bit of a struggle to get this on because the gap is a little bit big. The back end, the fan tail really is a little bit tight. You can see there's a bit of a big gap there. Now I know that you are meant to have a gap down that bit there, but that's actually letting light in, so I'm going to need to try and find a way of trying sealing that up properly really. Well, that's not too bad really. And then I need to get the white part, put my teeth back in, the pylons sorted out as well, because we've got to get the wires running down. Now I think there's a total of about 10 or 20 wires or something like that that need to run down the inside, like, you know, obviously that's the positive and the negative wires. So I need to get them to come out the bottom on the inside, so I just need to figure out where we're going to do that really, where it's not going to interrupt with anything. I've also taken the bottom section of this off, and I think I might need to take the top section off as well. One of the things that I will do is with this, because it is actually hollow, as you can see there, that's hollow. I have got some 2mm plastic strut tube that will actually go up the inside of that quite nicely. So all I need to do is put some of that in there and sink it into the bottom of that one, and I'll be able to glue that in, so that'll actually strengthen that bit right back up again and keep that in place. And I think I might need to do the same with this as well, so I can just slide this shuttle bay in, but we'll soon see in a while. As I say, I just need to sort of get a few more lights and pieces in there, and that'll be done. So I will come back to you as soon as I've got some more back. I think I'm going to call this video quits, I believe. I think it might be getting a bit too long, so I will catch up with you in the next part, which I believe is part 16, where hopefully we're going to have a lot of progress in this. It might be a couple of weeks time when I do the video though, because life has just got all of a sudden quite busy. So as soon as I've got some more back onto this, I will come back to you.